Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're all doing well around the world. If you're new here, we're honored to have you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, to the breaking news. Sirens are blaring across Jerusalem and Greater Tel Aviv after a missile was launched from Yemen. Iran announced that India has secretly sided with Tel Aviv in the ongoing conflict, and Tehran is planning what it's calling a final showdown with Tel Aviv in the coming days. Meanwhile, the Iranian president has ordered the Revolutionary Guard to join the Armenia-Azerbaijan war. Saudi Arabia has reportedly given the United States and Israel access to a base near Egypt, and the UAE is working with the Aden government to normalize relations with Tel Aviv. Trump is reportedly sending massive weapons shipments to Israel. Netanyahu has made it clear, land for normalization in Syria, but far-right Minister Ben-Gvir is against peace with Syria and rejects any normalization. At the same time, Syria's intelligence chief foiled an Israeli assassination attempt. Trump has signed off on lifting sanctions on the Assad regime, and Damascus welcomed the move. Russia is claiming a historic win in Ukraine, while Germany says it will support Kyiv until the end. Ukrainian forces are facing major shortages in supplies, and Putin has revealed plans to spark a color revolution in Serbia. China has also unveiled an electromagnetic weapon that disrupts electricity. As for India, it's now in the middle of the Iran-Israel conflict, backing Tel Aviv behind the scenes. According to Iran's Kayhan newspaper, Indian software used by Iranian government agencies, including passport systems, civil records, and airports, had backdoors that sent data straight to Israel. This major breach was revealed just as Israel escalated its attacks on top Revolutionary Guard commanders, including Hassan Abu al-Fadl, known as Qasem Soleimani's shadow, who was killed in an airstrike just hours before the war's expected end. In response to these provocations, a source in Iran's Revolutionary Guard told Russia's RT that Iran has decided to turn the next war with Tel Aviv into the final war. Iran isn't just talking either. It's formed a legal committee to report Israeli aggression to the United Nations. Domestically, Iran's parliament passed a law forcing the government to cut ties with the International Atomic Energy Agency. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry strongly condemned what it called Trump's ridiculous and insulting comments about Iranian leaders, saying they offend millions of Iranians and only deepen hatred of the United States across the region. A deputy foreign minister added that Iran insists on its right to peacefully enrich uranium, though the level and amount of enrichment are open to negotiation. From this Iranian-Israeli intelligence war, we move to Yemen, where things are getting even more intense. According to the Washington Post and Western diplomatic sources, the United States and its allies have offered to include Yemen in the Abraham Accords in exchange for military support to the Aden government against the Houthis. The UAE is heavily involved in this effort. Yemeni leaders Aidaros al-Zubaydi and Tariq Saleh have held high-level talks with United States and French ambassadors about bolstering Aden's government and pushing military efforts northward. Meanwhile, Israeli intelligence, Mossad, is reportedly in contact with Yemeni political and media figures linked to the coalition. Analysts believe the timing isn't a coincidence. With tensions rising across the region and normalization efforts picking up again, Yemen seems to be getting pulled into a new regional alignment and possibly a reshaped network of alliances. At the same time, the United States has reopened an old military base in Yanbu on Saudi Arabia's west coast, right across from the Suez Canal, a move that sparked outrage in Egypt, which sees it as a direct threat to its national interests. The real goal, it seems, is to advance the so-called Ben Gurion Canal project. This activation came right after the last United States aircraft carrier left the Red Sea due to repeated Houthi attacks. Washington had initially wanted to establish a base on Egypt's Tiran and Sanafir islands, but Cairo refused, so they shifted to Saudi shores instead. Now the United States is reinforcing its presence along a new trade corridor connecting India to Europe via Tel Aviv, according to Reuters. Tel Aviv is bracing for disaster. As the saying goes, storms don't come alone, when you feel the wind picking up, don't fight it. Change direction. Today, Tel Aviv is facing a worsening economic crisis. According to Yedioth Ahronoth, food prices are climbing sharply. Around 52% of Israelis say their financial situation has worsened this year, and 25% now rely on external assistance. Despite the economic hardship, Israel is pushing to expand normalization to include Syria and Lebanon. The Israeli foreign minister stated that establishing a Palestinian state poses a serious threat to Israel's security. In Gaza, fighting continues between Israel and Palestinian factions. Tel Aviv claims it's responded multiple times to United States envoy Brett McGurk's proposals for a hostage deal and ceasefire, accusing Palestinian groups of rejecting every offer. Yedioth Ahronoth also reported that the Israeli military warned full control over Gaza would be a massive burden, militarily and economically. Meanwhile, Israeli sources confirmed the United States is transferring large amounts of military gear to Israel, including THAAD missile defense systems and other interceptors, likely in preparation for a potential Iranian attack. There are also reports that a Jordan Valley resident and 2 people from Tiberias were arrested on suspicion of spying for Iran, according to Israel's Channel 2. And what about Syria? In a twist nobody saw coming, neither the hopeful nor the cynical, Damascus might actually sign a peace agreement with Tel Aviv. Lebanon's Al-Akhbar newspaper reported that intensive internal talks are happening within Syria's new government under interim President Ahmad al-Shara about an American-brokered peace deal. Publicly, there's talk of possible peace between Syria and Tel Aviv. But behind the scenes, things seem very different from what's being said at press conferences. According to informed Syrian sources, President Ahmad al-Shara's regime isn't unified. Some of his closest aides are strongly against any rapprochement with Tel Aviv, and they consider it political suicide, as reported by local papers. But what's even more surprising is that according to Israeli Channel 2 reports, al-Shara himself doesn't mind meeting Netanyahu at the UN. If true, it would be one of the strangest scenes in the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict, as reported by Yedioth Ahronoth and Channel 2. Meanwhile, the Hebrew newspaper Reshet Bet reported that Damascus is focused on one demand, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from southern Syria. However, Syria hasn't brought up the occupied Golan Heights, which some analysts see as a tacit concession from Damascus. But the real bombshell? Reports are circulating about a potential upcoming visit by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to Damascus. If that happens, political analysts believe it would be a massive diplomatic blow to Iran and Hezbollah. It could also signal that the normalization trend is spreading from the Gulf to the Levant. According to Yedioth Ahronoth, some Israeli officials doubt that President al-Shara would ever agree to a full peace deal without Tel Aviv first withdrawing from the Golan Heights and other occupied Syrian territories. They believe what's currently on the table is nothing more than a security agreement, similar to understandings made during the Assad regime after the 1973 ceasefire. In a related statement, Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said, Syria, who once dreamed of erasing Tel Aviv, is now sending envoys to talk peace and normalization. Far-right politician Itamar Ben-Gvir also weighed in, criticizing al-Shara and warning of the consequences of signing a peace deal with Syria. He said, "One of our biggest mistakes is how quickly we turn our enemies into friends." This all lines up with a report from I-24 News, which revealed details about a targeted bombing that rocked central Damascus. According to Syrian media leaks, the airstrike in the Meza area a few days ago targeted none other than Hussein Salameh, the head of Syrian intelligence. In other news, former U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order lifting sanctions on Syria, but the order includes provisions that specifically exclude Bashar al-Assad and his inner circle. In his first statement after the sanctions were lifted, Syria's Foreign Minister Assad Hassan al-Shaibani said, "The U.S. decision opens the door to long-awaited reconstruction and development efforts." Russia declares a historic victory. From Moscow, the head of the Russian-controlled Luhansk Republic announced that all territories had been fully liberated from Ukrainian forces. Meanwhile, the Kremlin stated that Kyiv knows exactly what it needs to do to end the military operation, and that President Putin had laid out those conditions over a year ago. Russia also hinted that it might use advanced techniques to trigger a color revolution during ongoing protests in Serbia. At the same time, the Financial Times warned that Ukrainian forces could run out of resources within 6 months. The paper says Ukrainian troops are struggling and beginning to collapse, adding that commanders in NATO are concerned things could take a serious downturn by autumn. Still, that hasn't stopped Germany's foreign minister from announcing continued support for Ukraine's bid to join the EU, calling its defense a Central European mission. China's graphite bomb, a new kind of weapon. China recently unveiled a new weapon known as the graphite bomb, designed to cripple electrical grids. It works by releasing chemically treated carbon fibers that short-circuit power systems. Reports say the bomb can deliver up to 300 warheads, with a total weight of 490 kilograms. So the big question now, is Trump ready for the coming energy war? Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow S News for more updates. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment on what you think about all this. More videos.